am as always Mr. Grimreaper, and welcome everybody to my channel. And tonight, welcome to another edition of Rip from the Silverscreen. Tonight, me and Dark Knight 987 are gonna go back to 1992, I think this was. Yeah, 1991 actually. And review the 1991 classic, directed by Jonathan Demme. The Anthony Hopkins masterful Silence of the Lambs. Yeah, we're gonna review this movie. It's based on the book by Thomas Harris. It stars Jodie Foster, Anthony Hopkins, Scott Glenn, and Ted Levine. Levine, yeah, I think that's how you say it. Whatever. There's something else that I need to talk about before we get into this damn movie. There's a part in this movie. There's a part in this freaking movie that I'm not gonna be happy that I'm gonna have to review it. Knight knows what I'm talking about.
I do.
Especially since it's been freaking parodied to death in several other things. But you'll figure out when we get to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about this movie. Give our thoughts and all that stuff, and yeah, so. Alright. FBI trainee Clarice Starling, played by Jodie Foster, is pulled from her training at the FBI Academy at Quantico, Virginia, by Jack Crawford of the Bureau's Behavioral Science Unit. He assigns her to interview Hannibal Lecter, played by the legendary Anthony Hopkins, a former psychiatrist and incarcerated cannibalistic serial killer, whose insight might prove useful in the pursuit of psychopath serial killer nicknamed Buffalo Bill, who kills young women and then removes the skin from their bodies. Ugh. Starling travels to the Baltimore State Hospital for the criminally insane, where she is led by Frederick Chilton to Lecter's solitary quarters. Although initially pleasant and courteous, Lecter grows impatient with Starling's attempt at dissecting him and rebuffs her. As she is leaving, one of the prisoners flicks semen at her. That's disgusting. Lecter, who considers this act unspeakably ugly, calls Starling back and tells her to seek out an old patient of his. This leads her to a storage shed, where she discovers a man's severed head with a sphinx moth lodged in his throat. She returns to Lecter, who tells her that the man is linked to Buffalo Bill. He offers to profile Buffalo Bill on the condition that he may be transferred away from Chilton, whom he detests. Buffalo Bill abducts a senator's daughter, Catherine Martin. Crawford authorizes Starling to offer Lecter a fake deal, promising a prison transfer if he provides information that helps them find Buffalo Bill and rescue Catherine. Instead, Lecter demands a quid pro quo for Starling, offering clues about Buffalo Bill in exchange for personal information. Starling tells Lecter about the murder of her father when she was 10 years old. Chilton secretly records a conversation to reveal Starling's deceit before offering Lecter a deal of Chilton's own making. Lecter agrees and is flown to Memphis, where he verbally torments Senator Ruth Martin and gives her misleading information on Buffalo Bill, including the name Louis Friend. Starling notices that Louis Friend is an anagram of iron sulfide, fool's gold. She visits Lecter, who is now being held in a cage-like cell in a Tennessee courthouse, and asks for the truth. Lecter tells her that all the information she needs is contained in the case file rather than give her the real name. He insists that they continue their quid pro quo, and she recounts a traumatic childhood incident where she was awakened by the sound of spring lambs being slaughtered on a relative's farm in Montana. Starling admits that she still sometimes wakes thinking she can hear lambs screaming, and Lecter speculates that she is motivated to save Catherine in the hope that it will end the nightmares. Lecter gives her back the case files on Buffalo Bill after the conversation is interrupted by Chilton and the police, who escort her from the building. Later that evening, Lecter kills his guards, escapes from his cell, and disappears. Starling analyzes Lecter's annotations to the case files and realizes that Buffalo Bill knew his first victim personally. Starling travels to the victim's hometown and discovers that Buffalo Bill was a tailor, with dresses and dress patterns identical to the patches of skin removed from each of his victims. Ugh.
Tell me about it.
She telephones Crawford to inform him that Buffalo Bill is trying to form a woman's suit out of real skin. Jesus. But Crawford is already en route to make an arrest. Having cross-referenced Lecter's notes with hospital archives and finding an autogenophilic, I can't say that word, from each of his victims, named James Gum, who once applied unsuccessfully for a sex change operation, believing himself to be a transgendered woman. Excuse me. Starling continues interviewing friends of Buffalo Bill's first victim in Ohio, while Crawford leads an FBI HRT team to Gum's address in Illinois. The house in Illinois is empty, and Starling is led to the house of Jack Gordon, whom she realizes is actually James Gum. Again, by finding a Sphinx moth. She pursues him into his multi-room basement, where she discovers that Catherine is still alive but trapped in a dry well. After turning off the basement lights, Gum stalks Starling in the dark with night vision goggles, but gives his position away when he cocks his revolver. Starling reacts just in time and fires all of her rounds, killing Gum. Sometime later at the FBI Academy graduation party, Starling receives a phone call from Hannibal Lecter, who is at an airport in Bimini. He assures her that he does not plan to pursue her and asks her to return the favor, which she says she cannot do. Lecter then hangs up the phone saying that he is having an old friend for dinner and starts following a newly arrived Chilton before disappearing into the crowd. Thus ending this creepy ass movie. Alright, so as what we talked about before, we were talking about a certain scene in this movie that has been done to death by a lot of other stuff. Now, if you guys remember a certain song, I think it's called "Goodbye Horses," I think, right?
Yes, you are correct.
And in this particular scene, Buffalo Bill is sitting in front of a mirror, right?
Yeah.
And something particular happens in this situation.
Yeah.
How can I put it in a way that y'all guys can understand it? How can I put it in a way that y'all can understand it? Well, let's just say he I don't want to say it. You go ahead, man. You go ahead. You do your thing.
Well, let's just say it's just a scene that you and I rather not talk about. It's just one of the most messed up scenes in this movie. I'll say that. And this particular scene is
It is how,
the most sensitive thing ever.
it is the most disturbing shit you have ever seen in your entire life. Well, excuse me. The most disturbing shit you've ever seen in your entire life, bar none, and that's
Yeah.
saying something. But besides that, what did you think of Silence of the Lambs, man?
Well, I admit it was pretty. It did freak me out. Even some of the cover looks pretty freaky. I mean, Hannibal and Anthony Hopkins. I gotta give him credit. He played Hannibal to a T. And, yeah, he kind of it was scary because he played a serial killer who was a cannibal. And those cannibals eat. Even they eat other humans. That's what a cannibal is.
Yeah.
And that, him playing that kind of a role, yeah, that pretty freaky. It was pretty freaky, but I mean, although it was kind of, and of course that part that we used to talk about. Other than all that happening, yeah, it had its moments. I mean, I thought it was good.
Yeah. Here's how I feel about this movie.
But,
This movie from how I remembered it, it's actually pretty good when you think about it for a second.
yeah,
There was a movie. Actually, this would be a sequel, I think. There was a movie that came out like back in 1988 or 1989. I'm trying to remember it, and it was called Manhunt. Now, this I think I don't know if it was if it was a remake or if it was I'm trying to remember this. Oh yeah, it was 1986. But I don't think this had anything to. I don't think Manhunter I don't know if that had anything to do with Hannibal Lecter though. I'm trying to remember if it did or didn't, but um, I know that Manhunter was adapted from Red Dragon, which is the second of the which is preceded by this one. Um, the Silence of the Lambs would be the first of the three, so it would be Silence of the Lambs, Red Dragon, and Hannibal Rising. Those would be the three. So, um,
yeah.
but
Exactly.
we'll probably get to Red Dragon, and we'll probably get to Hannibal Rising another day.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
It says here the Red Dragon and the Hannibal Rising, they're prequels. So, and then the sequel for that will be Hannibal.
oh, it would be Hannibal Rising. Okay. So, Red Dragon would be what the prequel, right? Like the first movie.
Yeah, like one or two prequels, yeah. And then the other one is Hannibal Rising.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. So this would be like I guess like the sequel to Red Dragon. Um, but yeah, I think this one was pretty good. I loved it, except that freaking part of this movie.
Yeah. That
Um,
part.
and I will never watch this movie for as long as I live. But nah, I'm just.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you guys are probably asking, well, Grim Knight, what did y'all give it? Well, we gave it 10 out of 10. I think so. Anyway, I think it deserves that. Um, Silence of the Lambs is a legendary film in its own right. Jonathan Demme, um, was Jonathan. This was a pretty good movie from him. Um, he knows how to tell a good story, and yeah, sadly, uh, 2 years ago, he passed away at the age of 73. So yeah, So he, yeah, so Jonathan, yeah, Jonathan Demme knows how to make good movies and stuff like that, and I think this was his best one. Um, and not to mention again, this is in the Library of Congress, the National Film Registry, and all that, and yeah, so um, but yeah, let me know in the comment section down below what y'all guys thought of Silence of the Lambs and stuff like that, and yeah, so coming up next, we had a lot more shit to do here tonight. So stay tuned for more videos on this channel. So yeah, I'm as always Mr. Grimreaper 512 with the one and only Dark Knight 987. We're gonna have ourselves how can I put this in a way y'all can understand it? Uh, I guess we're gonna have a friend of ours for dinner tonight. How about it? I'm Mr. Grimreaper 2 with Dark Knight 987. It's dinner time, motherfuckers. Peace.